Yeah, good evening, folks. If we could get you to go ahead and kind of keep moving on in here and kind of having a seat. We've got some more folks out there to let in yet, so thanks for your help with that. Thanks for your help with that. Well, you don't have to stop talking. You just move to the seats. It's okay. No, really, please keep visiting. looks like we still have several people working their way kind of through the parking lot, so continue visiting, and we'll let you know when it's time to shh. Okay.
Say something to get attention or anything. Debbie Deemer.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Kara.
I'm Joe. Tom.
And thank you for joining us tonight for a celebration of our beloved husband, dad, brother, and friend, Jim Bogen. Before we go any farther, it would be, I think, a real tickle to Dad's heart if you could just take a moment and turn to someone that, before this moment, perhaps you don't know, and say hello and make a new friend.
Oh, hi. Nice to meet you.
Oh my gosh, Tim's here.
Who came?
Tim Bogen.
We made it. Send me good vibes.
Okay, folks, if we could get everybody to bring her down a little here. And I think we've got most folks in. There's a couple of chairs left in the back. Otherwise, we'll just kind of have a standing room only crowd here today. Hey, on behalf of Jim's family, we want to welcome you all to Doll. And it's really great to see everybody here to remember and honor Jim tonight. And from what I understand from the family, it's going to be a pretty good time. So stand by for that.
Stand by.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you. Welcome. If you have any needs during the service, find myself or Dave or Karen. We've all got these little name tags on. So at any rate, let us know if we can help with anything. And with that,
Awesome. Thank you, Ray.
Karen, thanks.
Appreciate you. We would really appreciate having fond memories of our dad. There are a couple clipboards on the back tables in the back with memory pages and a collection basket for you to share your memories with us as well. And later this evening, it'll be important since tomorrow's an early morning for us, that probably about 8:30 after some sharing of stories. If you've not had the opportunity to do so, there'll be an email, I think, that you can see that you can share stories with, but so that we all get our beauty sleep tonight. Maybe about 8:30 we'll stop sharing stories and finish up with some more song. But before that.
So what do you get when a music teacher, an airline pilot, and an occupational therapist walk into a room? You get one heck of a send-off. So we hope you don't mind, but there's going to be quite a bit of music tonight. A fair amount of laughter and plenty of crying, so get your tissues. But make sure will also be a lot of stories told to really celebrate Dad's life. And now, we need to sing, because that's what we do. When words fail, music speaks, and no matter how heavy the heart is, it feels good to sing. So please join us in one of our family's favorite songs, Shenandoah.
Good evening. My name is Galena Schmidt. I am a niece and cousin to the Bogens. Please rise and join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
So many of you knew, all of you knew, my dad and his penchant for not really wanting things to be a fuss. But we weren't sure how to honor him without one. So, judging by the amount of people here, you all feel the same. We Bogen kids are some musicians, storytellers, and we're all huge crybabies. Because we're all descendants of the original crybaby Boohoo Bogen. So on behalf of our beautiful mom, our entire family, thank you for the love and support tonight and across the years. We're all very touched that you're all here.
Yeah. Like 2 times through, we got this.
These guys are some dear friends to all the Bogen boys, Tom, and my dad, and myself, and at dozen sets over the years. Our group would rehearse on Tuesday nights after school, and it was nice to get homework done and get to all hang out, but I think Dad especially loved music. So.
You know a dream is like a river, ever changing as it flows, and the dreamer's just a vessel, must follow where it goes, trying to learn from what's behind you, never knowing what's in store, makes each day a constant battle, just to stay between the shores. And I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry, like a bird upon the wind. These waters are my sky, I'll never reach my destination if I never try. So I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. Too many times we stand aside, let the water slip away, and what we put off till tomorrow has now become today. So don't you sit upon the shoreline and say you're satisfied. Choose to chance the rapid and dare to dance the tide. So I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry, like a bird upon the wind. These waters are my sky, I'll never reach my destination if I never try. So I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. There's bound to be rougher waters, And I know I'll take some falls. With a good Lord as my captain, I will make it through them all. And I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. Like a bird upon the wind, these waters are my sky. I'll never reach my destination if I never try. So I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. And I will sail my vessel until the river runs dry. Until the river runs dry.
So this week has, of course, been a very challenging week for me and my family, and I would say everybody. But on Sunday morning, when things looked very bleak, we had so much family and friends come to the home and just really felt the love, and you could just really experience Dad through everybody. And it was very touching for me. So I just started finding that, you know, through friends and family, I was seeing beauty in so much of Dad and just the things that were around me, and it really just kind of sat with me. So yeah, later on Monday evening, around the campfire, I started to put together a song. So this is a song that I wrote for Dad, and it's called Hey Dad. Because like whenever you see him, something pretty, like a deer or an antelope on the golf course, you just say, Hey Dad. And this is our beloved Aunt Margie, who's going to be joining me. Hey Dad, did you know that I miss you? Even though it's been a couple days since you found your way to the grade. By and by, oh, there goes my pick. Hey Dad, I know that I can't be alone without your loving memories of the good time, but I wish you were here. Playing it off like it don't hurt, 'cause it hurts so bad. But I know that you're still here with us, and it makes me glad. When the fish is tugging, when my mom is hugging, you'll be hugging too. When the sun is shining, when the moon and lightning make me think of you. You will be there, and we will share so many stories about you. I believe that we will be back someday together in the sky so blue. Hey Dad, I wish that I could tell you how much that I already miss you. It's a wonder that you're no longer here. Hey Dad, we all knew that you could talk the talk, but oh man, did you ever show us how to live, how to walk the walk. Wish I didn't feel the hurt, 'cause it hurt so bad. But I know that you're still here with us, and it makes me glad that when the fish is tugging, when my mom is hugging, you'll be hugging too. When the wind is blowing, when the snow is falling, I'll be thinking of you. You will be there, and we will share so many stories about you. I believe that we will be back someday together in the sky so blue. And talk about a terrible winter, an even more terrible spring. Now amongst a million stars, A loving Father dwells and we sing. Talk about a terrible winter, then an even more terrible spring. Now amongst a million stars, a loving man dwells and we sing. Talk about a terrible winter, then an even more terrible spring. Now amongst a million stars, a loving Father dwells and we sing. Talk about a terrible winter, then an even more terrible spring. Now among a million stars, a loving man dwells and we sing. We sing, a loving Father dwells and we sing. We sing, a loving man dwells and we sing. We sing, a loving Father dwells and we sing. A loving man dwells and we sing. I believe that we will be back someday together, someday soon. I believe that we will be back someday together in the sky so blue. I believe that we will be back someday together, someday soon. I believe that we will be back someday together in the sky so blue.
Hello, I'm John Bogen, Jim's brother. I'd like to share a poem that was read to Jim during his last night. 'Tis a fearful thing, 'tis a fearful thing to love which death can touch, a fearful thing to love, to hope, to dream, to be. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your love has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was a gift to me. To remember this brings painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing to love what death has touched.
You know, they teach you how to fly airplanes, but not how to play music on YouTube, so. Just a second. Yeah. Let's see. You ready, Tom? Get it.
10,000 snow geese. Ready, set, go.
They don't scare.
Staying put can kill you, standing still's a curse. To settle down can drive you mad, but moving on is worse. I was born under a wandering star. When I learned to talk, the word they taught me was goodbye. That and where's my hat are all I need until I die. Aching for to stop and always aching for to go. Searching but for what I never will know. I was born under a wandering star. I was born under a wandering star. I've been lots of places where I'd like to stay, but when I like them best of all is the day I move away. I was born under a wandering star. A wandering star. When I get to heaven, tie me to a tree, or I'll begin to roam, and soon you know where I will be. I was born under a wandering star. A wandering star.
Now make it go. It's a video. Video. I know exactly what Jim's going to do saying, yeah, dude. Nice try.
You may think that I'm talking foolish. You've heard that I'm wild and I'm free. You may wonder how I can promise you now this love that I feel for you always will be. But you're not just time that I'm killing. I'm no longer one of those guys. As sure as I live, this love that I give is gonna be yours until the hair. And if it all fell out, well, I'd love you anyway. They say time can play tricks on memory, make people forget things they knew. But it's easy to see it's happening to me. I've already forgotten every woman but you. Oh, darling, I'm gonna love you forever, forever and ever, amen. As long as old men sit and talk about the weather, as long as old women sit and talk about old men. If you wonder how long I'll be faithful, just listen to how this song ends. I'm gonna love you forever and ever, forever and ever, amen. I'm gonna love you forever and ever, forever and ever, forever and ever, forever and ever, amen.
Now?
I think so. Okay, go for it.
I'll sit here and you can.
I would like to reach out my hand, oh, but say, oh, but tell you to run. Nobody say, nobody on. Well, pick me up with golden hand, oh, but say, oh, but tell you to run. Nobody say, nobody on. Well, I would like to hold my little hand. How we will run, how we will cry. I would like to hold my little hand. How we will run, how we will cry. Send me in my way, send me in my way, send me in my way, send me on my way. Send me in my way, send me in my way, send me on my way. I would like to reach out my hand, sing a video.
I'm gonna be the man who wakes up next to you. When I go out, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you. If I get drunk, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who gets drunk next to you. And if I haver, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who's havering to you. But I will walk 500 miles and I will walk 500 more to be the man who walked 1,000 miles to fall down at your door. When I'm walking, yes, I know I'm gonna be the man who's working hard for you. And when the money comes in for the work I do, I'll pass almost every penny on to you. When I come home, I know I'm gonna be the man who comes back home to you. And if I drove, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who's going over you. But I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more to be the man who walks 1,000 miles to fall down at your door. When I'm lonely, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who's lonely without you. And when I'm dreaming, well, I know I'm gonna dream about the time when I'm with you. When I go out, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you. And when I come home, I know I'm gonna be the man who comes back home with you. I'm gonna be the man who's coming home with you. But I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more to be the man who walks 1,000 miles to fall down at your door.
I'm going fishing, you're going fishing, we're going fishing too. I'm going fishing, you're going fishing, we're going fishing too. Our Gibbs going fishing, Lonnie's going fishing, Mark's going fishing too. I got a little story that I'd like to relay. You catch any fish if you's right bait. We're going fishing too. Mark's going fishing, Kay's going fishing, Kay's going fishing too. John's going fishing, Mike's going fishing, you catch any fish if you's right bait. Dave's going fishing, Cam's going fishing, Dale's going fishing too. John's going fishing, Gleam's going fishing, Oz going fishing too. Jerry's going fishing. We're going fishing too. Where's your thing? Hey, let's go. Gotta get a roll. A G by Bill in the roof on so. We're going fishing. You're going fishing. Gotta go fishing too.
I'm going fishing. We're going fishing too. I'm going fishing. We're going
He's gone fishing. Gone fishing. He gonna fish. I don't want to eat that now. He's gone fishing. Fish on. Fish on. Fish on. Fish on. Ross-side family. Fish on. Fish on. Fish on. Fish on. Fish on. Fish on. Fish on.
Rosette, petite Rosette, y'a ben longtemps que je t'ai pas vue. Oh Rosette, petite Rosette, y'a ben longtemps que je t'ai pas vue. J'en ai eu des nouvelles du pays, que tu n'étais pas sage comme tu me l'avais promis. Que tu n'étais pas sage comme tu me l'avais promis. Cher amant, n'écoutez point ça, j'ai toujours eu l'amitié pour toi. Cher amant, n'écoutez point ça, j'ai toujours eu l'amitié pour toi. Y en est venu bien d'autres qui étaient de mon goût. Cher amant, pour te plaire, je les ai refusés. Cher amant, pour te plaire, je les ai refusés. Pourquoi belle les refusais-tu? Savais-tu pas que je t'aimais plus? Pourquoi belle les refusais-tu? Savais-tu pas que je t'aimais plus? Tu recevais plus mes lettres ni mes papiers marqués. Savais-tu pas, Rosette, que je t'avais oublié? Savais-tu pas, Rosette, que je t'avais oublié? Venez tous, venez écouter la jalousie qui le fait parler. Venez tous, venez écouter la jalousie qui le fait parler. Il n'avait pas de fortune, encore ni moins d'argent pour acheter les bagues qu'on donne à l'épousant. Pour acheter les bagues qu'on donne à l'épousant. Belle, les bagues que je te donne pas ne te feront jamais mal aux doigts. Belle, les bagues que je te donne pas ne te feront jamais mal aux doigts. J'en donnerai à une autre qui sera de mon goût. Et toi, petite Rosette, tu seras oubliée. Et toi, petite Rosette, tu seras oubliée.
Download the Domino's app today and become a Piece of the Pie Rewards member to earn points toward free pizza.
Apparently he wanted us to move on. I just have to compliment you two. That Dad always would say, adapt, adapt, right? You have to adapt. And when your sound doesn't work, Fly to the back and figure it out.
Swinger and winger.
Swinger and winger. Jim Bogen was a man of faith, and he was a man who knew that we all have and had a story. So now let's share our stories and our stories of him. We know there are more stories than that we have time to tell tonight. Is it about 7:45-ish? Yeah? So maybe just at about 8:30, not because we don't want to continue celebrating, but just because Mass tomorrow at 10 a.m. will come quickly. Maybe about 8:30 we'll wrap up. But please, there's an email address on the back of your program. And so feel free to send those emails. We're going to try and make a book of Dad. No timeline yet, but we'd really like to make a book, or photos that you have, if you'd rather do that. And then there's paper over on the table, and that helps a great deal.
So, no pressure, cousin Chris, but you're up here.
I'm Chris Bogen, cousins with these three fine individuals, nephew to Jim, and I was trying to figure out what story to tell. Anyway, the earliest memories I have of Uncle Jim is when we would come visit the Montana Bogans, or the Montana Bogans would come visit us, and it was always very exciting for me and Ellen. We got to play with our cousins, we'd camp, fish, golf, we'd be outside like Jim loved. And one thing, those trips run together in many ways, but I have very distinct memories from different locations, the Hot Springs, Bay Lake, Yellowstone, of just being terrorized by Jim and my dad in any body of water they could find. And Kara's laughing, so I'm pretty sure this is resonating. But what would happen is apparently Jaws was their favorite movie when they were kids. And one of them would slowly wade through the water. We'd all be playing. We'd kind of forget that they were there. I don't know where Mom and Aunt Kay were, probably out enjoying the fact that we were being terrorized. And either my dad or Uncle Jim would start doo-doo, doo-doo, doo-doo-doo, creeping up, and oh my God, it took the birds a while to fly away in that video, and we would scatter immediately, all to their plan, as Jim would be, swimming underneath the water and would pop up and grab one of our legs, and all of a sudden we'd be hurled 10 feet across the water or picked up and dunked, and I don't know, that's lots of memories, stories to share. I know everybody has some, and that's just kind of the first memory I have of Uncle Jim, of all the great times that our family had together. So, thank you.
What a wonderful production, Schmidt. I love you guys. My brother had such a wonderful family of friends and neighbors, companions out here in Bozeman. And the oldest brother, Tim. And I guess I've known Jim about as long as anybody alive, maybe for exception of Uncle Jim out in South Dakota. He's in his 90s now and still hanging on. There were several pictures of him. Uncle Jim had a little cabin on the Big Sioux River of Plandreau, South Dakota. Small town, about 2,600 people. My grandpa and my mom grew up, and my grandpa had 5, 6 kids, and they all played in the Big Sioux River when they were children. And when Jim and I came along, and John, we'd go to South Dakota for the 4th of July and buy fireworks with our paper route money. Well, that sometimes led to disaster down on the Big Sioux. They had a ballpark down there. They had a few buffalo running around the park. And one night we decided to camp out Now, I know this is mixed company, and it might be a little on the edgy side of stories, but I'm going to tell it anyways. So here I am, the oldest brother. We're camped out with my cousin Bob. And I don't remember if John was there. Jim was there. I was there. Bob was there. We were sleeping in a tent. And we got to giggling one night. It was late, 11 o'clock. We used to stay up telling stories, trying to freak each other out. And somebody mentioned the fact that flagellation could lead to flames. And, you know, we were maybe 8 or 9, 10 years old, and we had never heard that before. And, of course, we had to try it out. So Jim volunteered to be the first of the lucky participants. And I got to light the match. Now, he was bottom up, and he'd been eating some things that night, a little sour to the system. So we light the match, and Jim lets one loose. Now, I can't describe the look on his face or the reaction as he jumped up, almost putting his head through the roof of the tent. Jim had always been a little hairier than me. And unfortunately, his bottom caught fire. And he ran out and jumped in the Big Sioux River. So, you know, for all the children present, please don't incendiary. I wouldn't want this to lead to a fatal mishap or something. That was one of the more memorable moments in my life with Jim. There was a time he went and climbed into the neighborhood apple tree over at Jimmy Jacobson's house, a couple doors down from us. He went over there with his friend Kent Moeller. Kent was one of his best buddies growing up through the elementary years. And Kent climbed up into the higher branches, and Jim was in the lower branches. And the limb on which Jim was standing suddenly cracked out from underneath his feet. It also was a limb that led up to where Kent was. Kent was right over Jim. Jim hit the ground first, and Kent landed right on top of him, breaking both of Jim's arms in 5 different places. It was either 3 in the left or 2 in the right, or vice versa. And he spent that entire summer walking in casts like this. And John and I had to take turns feeding Jim because he couldn't hold a spoon like that. He couldn't get it up to his mouth. So, God, there's so many stories we could tell. I know John and Tom both have stories they could tell. My 2 brothers, Jim loved them both. I was very lucky to have a brother so full of life like Jim. I'd like to read one quick thing for the folks that are here tonight, something that I shared with Jim last fall. And it's a biblical verse. Remembering Jim. I read this to him over the phone. I told him about it. It comes from Ephesians. called the whole armor of God. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's work. For your struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers and against the authorities, against the powers of the dark world, and against spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you have done everything to stand, stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, and pray in the Spirit on all occasions with all kinds of prayers and requests. With this in mind, be alert and always keep on praying for all the Lord's people. Thank you.
Over the last couple of days, I've been trying to think of how to describe who my uncle was, what he meant to me, everything I've learned from him. Who was Jim Bogen? Well, you're about to find out. Jim Bogen was joyful. Throughout all my years, I remember Uncle Jim always laughing and having a good time. If we had to go to Duds and Suds, he found a way to make it memorable by letting me select ice cream from the freezer there. When we washed dishes together, he went so fast I had to call him out on quality control. Still, we were done with KP duty in record time. He lived his life with zest. Whatever he did, wherever he went, he did it with joy and enthusiasm. Influencer. Not only did my uncle influence me to eat pickled herring and to never ever be ashamed of putting anchovies on my pizza, he also influenced me to love the outdoors. Whenever I stayed over, we always did something outside. Whether it was sleeping in a tent, floating on Bozeman Lake in an inner tube, or sitting outside roasting marshmallows over an open fire pit, my uncle instilled in me a love for the great outdoors. Mischievous. Uncle Jim loved to be mischievous. He had no problem throwing pickled herring into the sausage mix, buying milkshakes for me and him when my dad and Aunt Kay took just a little too long picking up groceries in Great Falls, or making snoring sounds when I was trying to sleep in the hotel. Believer. Uncle Jim was a believer in God as well as people. He believed that God has a plan for all of us, and he once told me that we are closer to God in the trial than at any other time in our lives. Optimistic. My uncle always had an optimistic attitude. He didn't have a cheesy, false kind of optimism. Rather, he took the cards life dealt him and did the best he could with the cards he had. Giver. Whether it was a car, a slingshot, or a bowl of ice cream, he was always giving. Most of all, though, Uncle Jim gave of himself with his time and wisdom and canned oysters. Encourager. Uncle Jim always encouraged me to be myself and not change for other people. He encouraged me to use my story to help others overcome their struggles and helped me see it was unique. He once said that you can never let go of your pain until you give it as a gift to someone else. Never gave up. He never let adversity stop him from accomplishing things in his life. Whether it was cancer or events that happened in his life, he never let that change how he treated people or his outlook on life. The first part spells Jim, the second part spelled Bogen. I'll wrap it up with this. The spider pancake that wasn't meant to be. One weekend, as I was staying over at the Bogens, we were making pancakes for breakfast. Uncle Jim asked me what shape I wanted mine to be. I told him I wanted mine to be a spider. Okay, he said, while he tried to figure out how to make that work. He started to try and craft it, and at first I thought it would work, but then the spider pancake started to lose some legs, one after the other, and either we turned it into something else or I just ate a disassembled spider pancake. I'll see you on the flip side.
It's not going to be this long. Don't worry. It was intended to be long. I have lots of memories about Jim. My name is John Thies, and Keith Myers, who just walked up over here, he and I got to know Jim right at the beginning of our college days and spent many great memories with him. Keith has as many as I do, and the list is really long, but I'm going to highlight a couple things. One is a story I think is pretty funny. Jim and I were bow hunting down by Twin Bridges area, and we were walking through. We had our bows with us, walking through the woods, and Jim goes, "Hold it! Do you see that?" And I go, "What?" He said, "Do you hear it?" And I'm sitting there going, "No, no." I'm ready to knock an arrow. I think we're into elk. He goes, "Right over there." "What?" He goes, "Right over there." He said, "What is it?" He said, It's a great napping spot right there." To me, it just, so when we hunted together, he was known as Eeyore, imagine that, and I was known as Tigger. So there's more to the story about Tigger. The second part of it is, there was a time my wife and I were struggling financially, and Jim and Kay would set aside clothes when he'd come by, and they'd have a jacket for me or a shirt or something like that. This was one of the shirts he saved for me. That was probably 35 years ago or more, and I wear it to bed pretty regularly. It's a pretty special shirt. It'll probably look like a little kid's blanket shredded in years, but it means a lot to me. I think something that we don't know about Jim, and some of you that spent time with him, he had a little bit of an addictive personality. He had some issues with worms. Terrible. I was a fly fisherman, am a fly fisherman. He's a bait fisherman, and there were many times he was fishing with worms when he shouldn't have been at all. And I was an associate with him and somewhat embarrassed to be there, but he liked his worms. I'm gonna refer to my wife, Kelly. She, when we would leave, being with Jim and Kay, one of her comments was, "You know what? He is such a respectful listener. He listens and he sincerely cares about you, and he listens, and it made her feel really welcome." He was always that way. He had his own opinions. They were great, not always agreeable, but he really had a gift of being a great listener. Kay and your family, I don't know, Kay, Kelly and I have talked about your new name in our house is St. Kay because of what a great wife you've been. When Jim and I would visit, we had so many tear-jerking, laughing stories and stuff. But when we talked about our wives, they're very respectful conversations. We didn't knock our wives. We didn't make fun of them. A little bit about turtlenecks, maybe a little about turtlenecks. That was about it. But the rest of it was about how much we loved our wives, and Jim was the same way, and it's really nice to have a friend that you sit and talk about the good things about people, especially your spouse. I think of I have a list here of all the things, but I'm going to say probably the thing I learned more about from Jim in his last few years. It'd be easy to be bitter in his life. In the last part of his life, there were things that he was beaten and torn down quite a bit, and what he was very grateful. He was very grateful for all these people that are here, for his wife, his family, and he focused on that in our conversations. We just had we both have a lot to be thankful for, but he was amazing about how grateful he was. In leaving, one of the last, a verse that I have read recently that really will stick in my mind forever, and it's from the Gospel of John. It's from chapter 12, verse 27, and it says, "Father, they are your gift to me. I wish that where I am, they also may be with me." And I just hope Jim is with me. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Nice to see you. So, Jim Bogen's tribute. I titled this, "Where Montana Meets Minnesota." Kay, Kara, Cody, Joe, Andrew, Tom, Jim's brothers, Tim, nice to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. John and Tom, the Schmidt family and friends joining us tonight. It's an honor for me to share the tribute of your husband, your dad, your brother, your in-laws, as well as look at these friends, lifelong friends gathering tonight for a celebration of his life. My name is Keith Meyer, and I'm the Montana farm kid who met Jim Bogen, the urban hunter from Minnesota, in September of 1973 in Roski Hall in room 324 here at Montana State University. I can still remember the phone number. I don't know why. And boy, do I have stories, but we don't have days. From that magical day of our experiences and relationships through the past 49 years, built a bond and a friendship that I'll never forget and will appreciate so very much. Jim was like another brother to me, and my younger brother's here tonight, and he and I talked about Jim over and over and over. Our backgrounds were so similar that we both shared over the years that we believed that the stars were aligned and it was meant to be for us to meet each other on this earth. Jim's dad's name was Roy. My dad's name was Roy. Jim's mom was Mary Ellen. My mother, who's still alive, is Marion. His parents had 4 boys. My parents had 2 boys and a sister. Jim was raised a strong Norwegian Lutheran, and I was raised a good Irish Catholic. His grandfather and his dad's side of the family had so many of the same traits that my grandfather had on my father's side. From the first day in Roski Hall at MSU to his wooden clogs, our friendship became deep and respectful. Over this past week, through my sadness and my reflections, I know that Jim's spirit is with all of us and will continue to guide us each day. His wisdom, his outlook on life, his love for his family, his friends, and strangers is an example that I ask myself each day, am I living up to Jim's standard of acceptance? Over the years, we've had many conversations about our parents' health and their relationships, our children and their journeys in life, how our wives, UK and my Katie, are so similar, which led us to believe maybe they were switched at birth. It's easy for both of us to agree that we had married our best friend. Again, our similar paths of life over the past years continue to bring us closer each year. Jim was such a great friend, and no matter what topic of discussion we would discuss, I knew that he would stand by me for any reason, and vice versa. We shared laughs, tears, frustrations, and joy throughout the years with our wives, our family, and friends. What else could one ask for a close friend? So, I have so many stories to remember Jim by, and know that these stories and his legacy will provide me and my family, as well as the Bogen family and friends, a memory that will continue on forever. Jim's passing is hard for all of us to understand and accept, but as we continue to live Jim's truth, beliefs, faith, love, and friendships, I know that I'll be able to be at peace with his passing and look to remember his smile, his humor, his friendship, and his wonderful outlook on life. Thank you.
I would like to say a couple things about Duds and Suds and Jim and Kay. Mike and I met Jim and Kay when our washing machine broke. And of course, I had to find a laundromat, and that's where I went. And there was a wonderful gentleman working there at the time, Einar Dahl. Bless his heart. And for about 3 weeks, I'd go in there, and Einar would have lots of stories, and he was just as friendly and so wonderful, and I enjoyed it so much. Wednesday wash days. So there were other fellas in there, usually fellas, doing their wash, and we got to be talking with Einar, and Mike said to me one day, I think we better go look for the washing machine. I said, not right now. I'm having too much fun going to the laundromat with Einar and about 4 other guys. We're having such fun. So eventually, about 3 weeks later, Jim came in, and Einar introduced me as the owner, and that did it. Jim was just, was a fabulous, everybody loved Jim. He was respectful. I can say, I still do laundry there. I'd never quit going because Jim and Kay and Mike and I became such close friends. I just wanted to be there every Wednesday wash day. So I think Jim, I watched through the years. He treated everyone the same. I don't care if it was some hoity-toity from the City Hall or if it was a homeless person. He never treated anyone differently, always with respect, always with caring. And also, his employees respected him and Kay. They was just wonderful with their employees. And so eventually, when Kay and Jim wanted to take a few days off, which they well deserved, they asked me, would you like to work on Friday and Saturday mornings for us? Oh, yay. Well, okay. I'm still there. But Jim loved the Lord, We had many, many visits through the years, washing clothes. And I know that for a fact. We talked many times. We talked religion, politics, and it was always enjoyable. And then the guys would get to talking hunting, which I know very little about, and fishing, which I know less about, but I enjoyed it so much visiting with all those fellas. And Jim was a devout Christian, and he loved Kay with all his heart, and his children, his extended family. And so I wanted to just say that about Duds and Suds. It was wonderful to have them over there when I would come and do Wednesday wash day. Thank you, Kay.
Wow, what memories. So my name's Bill Hebron. Jim and Kay's neighbor. We became so close. Our kids raised them together. It was a two-house community. We had 2 trails. Jim and I had hunting dogs. I had Aspen, a golden retriever. He had Breezy, a Springer. And we had a dog trail, and we had a kid trail. And the kids didn't walk on the dog trail. The kids went on the kid trail, dogs on the dog trail. Yeah, so many memories. Jim wanted guinea hens. Breezy and Aspen decided it's going to be a guinea hen free zone in our neighborhood. And so that didn't happen. But they always had ducks and geese and stuff going on. Jim and I chased elk, steelhead, pheasants, walleyes. We had a great time outdoors. I'm going to miss him. And I don't want to go too long, but what I did want to say, and it's a funny story, and I hope I don't blow anybody else's story, but I got to tell it. So we did a lot of family hunts. We did northern pike in Saskatchewan with the families. So we were at Red Rocks Lakes, and we were boa hunting, and had some other friends and family along. Our family, Jim and Kay's family. And we got our trailers all parked in, and we're getting ready to go out for an evening hunt. And I went by Jim's trailer, and he had this thing. I said, Jim, what's that? So Jim was a visionary. You know this about him. Everybody in this room knows this about Jim. He was a visionary. That guy never looked backward. He was always looking forward, which I appreciate about him. He says, this is the poop caddy. I'm like, what is the poop caddy? He said, oh, it's the latest, greatest thing. He says, you put it on your trailer, and then you can just, because there's no hookups there, but we can take it down and dump it in the toilet. And I'm like, okay. So a couple of days later, I see Jim going across the campground. He's got the poop caddy. I'm like, I got to see this, and maybe I can help him because it looked kind of heavy. We had 3 kids, and there were cousins there, and So he's going across the campground, and he goes down to the outhouse, and it was a 2-holer, but it was kind of a narrow door, and anyway, so I followed him. I'm like, Jim, let me give you a hand. He said, no, and I'm like, well, there's no room in here anyway. So the poop caddy had a hose on it about that long. And he gets it up, and the thing had to weigh like 50, 60 pounds. And he wrestles it up and gets it up there. I'm, Jim, you okay? Yeah, I'm fine, I got it. And he pulls the valve with the hose, goes just straight. Kay was mortified. So after that, our kids, Kay's kids, mostly Kay's kids, well, especially Jim. Jim was, buckets out of red, we gotta clean that all out. So it was a couple years later, and I saw this ad, and it was a toilet seat, and you hook it on your tire. It hooks over your tire. It's got a thing to put a roll of toilet paper on it, and I sent it to Jim immediately. I said, Jim, what do you think about this? He said, I'll take 4. Anyway, great friend, so many memories. Miss him.
Good neighbor.
I'm Bruce Lee from Billings, and Jim was a great guy. I first met him in Bozeman when we were all going to school together, and I met him through Dan Ogney, our mutual friend, and we became good friends. And then my senior year, we wound up sharing this house together over next to campus, me and Jim and Dan Ogney and Keith Meyer and Mike Lane, and it was just all kinds of fun. Well, anyway, we all graduated from college and went off. Well, I went to law school, and when I got out of law school, I moved back to Billings. Well, at the same time, Jim was moving to Billings, so we decided to throw in together, and we rented a house together, this log cabin over on 8th Street. And it mentioned in his obituary that he met Kay through mutual friends. And she was friends with Marilee Morgan. She's Marilee Langer now. So me and Marilee lined up Jim and Kay on their first date. It was a blind date. So we went out to dinner and had a good time. So we went back over to my house, me and Jim's house, and the party began. And there were 4 of us there, and the police were summoned to my house twice that night. They came over because the music was too loud, and the officer was a nice guy. He says, you guys just got to turn the music down. So, okay, we turned the music down. Well, things continue. The music starts getting cranked back up, Well, about 30 minutes later, here comes the same police officer, and he walks up and he says, I told you to turn it down, turn it down. If I come back here, you're going to jail. Then he turned around and walked off, so I cranked the music way down. Well, the party continues. Well, Kay keeps going over and cranking the music. And I'm going, Kay, we're all going to go to jail. And she looks at me and she says, no, just the owners of the house go to jail. Well, then it was love ever after that with Jim and Kay. One thing that may have stressed their relationship a little bit was me and Jim went down to our family ranch down at Colstrip, and we were gonna, it was early, it was in August, and we were gonna spot the game. Well, we wound up poaching a deer out of season. And we had hung it up down there and cleaned it out and everything. And somebody had seen the car and knew it was Billings plates And anyway, the game warden came around. The hired man wasn't there. The game warden came around. They found blood all over the place where we'd washed it out and everything. And the hired man denied any knowledge of it. Well, my dad called me, and of course I lied to my dad. No, we didn't do it, not us, you know. So anyway, we were scared to death because we thought that, you know, the police were going to figure out who it was, and they were going to come to the house, and, you know, they were going to find this deer hanging in the garage, and had to do something with this. So we took it over and we hung it in Mary Lee and Kay's garage. Yeah, Bambi, they dictated, because it was a little runt deer, you know. I think that Jim shot, by the way. It was that Jim. He was a cunning and crafty guy, and always full of trouble, you know. He put on this kind of, you know, proper good boy act, but he really was cunning and clever and full of tricks, and we all loved him dearly. Thank you.
Well, like Keith Myers was saying, the stars aligned or something like that. And I think it was fate maybe that brought Jim into my life, too. I'm the brother-in-law that didn't have that beautiful Norwegian Viking hair. And apparently some of the stories that I heard about Jim are true. The story I heard that brought him to Montana to begin with was when Roy came out with a friend to eastern Montana, somewhere south of Fort Peck, to do some hunting. And they had just turned Jim loose on his own with a rifle. And apparently, according to Jim, they didn't tell him that there were limits on hunting in Montana. So Jim thought this was a great place. Maybe I'll come back someday. And I heard stories about a trunkload of ducks off a freeze-out too, maybe, but whether that was, yeah, maybe it was true. Anyway, I first met Jim when I was a +1 at Kay and Jim's wedding with Margie when we were just friends. But from that point on, life was an adventure with Jim. And he was the greatest adventure planner. There should have been he should have written a book on how to plan a great adventure, but how to make life an adventure. Because that's what it was. He fit as much into his life, even though it was cut a little short, as most of us could do in 2 or 3 lifetimes. And I wish I had written down all the advice that he had given me. That would have been 4 or 5 volumes. And even this week I was thinking, I wish I could call Jim. But like, I was thinking of a novel by Charles Dickens, A Tale of Two Cities. We probably all had to read it when we were in high school. And the opening line was, "It was the best of times, it was the worst of times." And we might dwell on the worst of times right now, the sadness that Jim is gone and what he's been through in the last few years. But what we need to focus on are the best of times, everything that we had to share with Jim. And what has surprised me is how many people are here that are such close friends with Jim, but yet each of us felt like we were his best friend. He made us feel that way, and how wonderful of an experience that was. And I'm still hoping I can hear, if maybe only in my mind, Jim calling up and say, "Hey, Uncle Dale, I was down at the Duds and I was talking to a guy."
please be sure when you don't know what would Jimmy say, go check that out. It will bring peace to your heart. We're going to do a little bit more singing. And so, May the Lord, Mighty God, it's to the tune of Edelweiss, and I think he kind of enjoyed this song because it reminded him of the Von Trapp family singers, which were just a close shake away from the Schmidt family singers. And then Amazing Grace, which was really, that was it. That was his essence. And so then we'll end with Praise the Lord, Pass the Ammunition, but before we do that, I'll let my brothers explain that a little bit when we get there, okay?
To the tune of Edelweiss. You probably all know that.
All right, after we finish up here, just a quick second. We'd be happy if you please join us for some treats and some drinks after we finish up. But before we conclude, I want to tell you about a dream my dad had in 2016, and it's not about Oli, Lena, and Ludafisk. It was probably around, I guess it was around 2014 in Christmas. Or 2016. We were all sitting around at the Schmidt house singing Christmas carols, and Grandma was around, and she loved to sing around, and that was some of the things she could just remember to her last days. And Grandma Tess came up with a new idea to all of us, and she said, there's a song that they used to sing called Praise the Lord and Pass the Ammunition. And it was a song that they came up for back in the 40s about to help raise war bonds for World War II. We looked it up on YouTube, and it became a Fast family favorite. Well, fast forward to May 2016. Dates are a little up and down here, but Dad was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer then, and kidney cancer. And on the night of Dad's diagnosis, he had this dream, and he told Grandma in the dream, "Tess, I have cancer." And she looked him square in the eye and said, "Jim, praise the Lord and pass the ammunition." So this is our last song. Let's praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. We love you, Jimmy. One last story from our dear friend Patty, from also at Duds and Suds. Love of ours.
I hate public speaking. I wasn't going to cry. I just want you to know that being Navajo, Jim walked the Navajo way, which is walking in beauty. When Navajos walk in beauty, they walk with joy, happiness, and confidence and peace. It keeps the fear away of the unknown when you walk in beauty. And this is the Navajo prayer. Today I will walk out. Today, everything negative will leave me. I will be as I was before. I will have a cool breeze over my body. I will have a light body. I will be forever happy. Nothing will hinder me. I walk with beauty before me. I walk with beauty behind me. I walk with beauty below me. And I walk with beauty above me. I walk with beauty around me My words will be beautiful. In beauty all day long I walk. Through the returning seasons, may I walk. On the trail marked with pollen, may I walk. With dew about my feet, may I walk. With beauty behind me, may I walk. With beauty below me, may I walk. With beauty above me, may I walk. With beauty all around me, may I walk. In old age, wandering on a trail of beauty. Living, may I walk. In old age, wandering on a trail of beauty. Living again, may I walk. My words will be beautiful. Jim was very special to me and the whole family. I would truly miss him, but I wanted you to know that he walked like the Navajos, where you never fear anything, and you bring everyone to your heart and soul.
Thank you so much, Patty. That's beautiful. I think that concludes everything for this evening. It's been a really touching, special evening, and we thank you all from the bottom of our hearts for coming and being here, for your words and just your presence and your love, and it's been truly special and unforgettable. And Dad is really just, he's smiling on this evening, so thank you so much. Feel free to join us for drinks, and I think there's a lot of cookies, so make sure you grab some cookies. And if you're able to, Mass tomorrow morning is at 10 o'clock at Resurrection Parish. So thank you so very much.